and they said that they were going to be 52-inch cookies.
I'm sorry, did you say 52-inch cookies?
I said 50 times 2-inch cookies.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Helen's Honest Baking. This video we were inspired by the TV show Friends with Monica's crazed hunt for Phoebe's cookie recipe and decided to go right to the source of all things chocolate chip cookie, the Nestle Tollhouse. The Nestle Tollhouse chocolate chip cookie recipe from 1938, attributed to Ruth Wakefield. And here it is on my 21st century piece of paper thanks to the Old Childhood Recipes Facebook group. As you can see, there's not a whole lot of recipe here since every woman in the 30s was expected to be a natural baker, so we'll be engaging some artistic interpretation today. First up, I'm roasting half a cup of mixed nuts for 10 minutes at 300 degrees Fahrenheit, which I'll chop later. This is indeed a choc nut cookie, surprisingly, and we've got macadamias and pecans here. Now, I'm sure Ruth didn't have a fancy stand mixer, but as a published home economist, I'm sure she would have if she could, and that's good enough for me. So in here we have half a cup of soft butter. The recipe said I could use lard, but I opted for the one that was easier for me to get. We're going to cream that up with 2 tablespoons of white sugar and 6 tablespoons of brown sugar, which we'll cream for 5 minutes. While that's going on, we're going to rescue those nuts from the oven and chop them to whatever size you prefer in your cookie. My chopping technique is pretty haphazard, but hey, at home, it's whatever gets the job done. I also did a little homework on how these became the OG recipe. Before this time, affordable chocolate was just hitting the middle class and became an ingredient to grate into jumble cookies, which were these thin rings. And fed up with all this grating, and who wouldn't be, the choc chip cookie was born into general stores in the 20s and 30s. But why did this particular recipe on the Nestle packaging dominate? It's simply because it came with a marketing campaign. Alright, that's done, and you can see how the color has paled off, just how we like it. In a not so shocking turn of events, we're adding half a teaspoon of vanilla, then cracking in 1 egg, followed by, perhaps more strangely, a 1/4 teaspoon of water? I guess the dough just needs to be a little more hydrated than what this ratio of ingredients can give. So we mix these in on low until just combined, scraping down the sides of the bowl as always, people, and looking goopy. Continuing the cookie canon, it's dry time. I've got 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons of plain flour, which I've sifted, muttering and complaining the whole time to respect the recipe and Ruth, followed by half a teaspoon of baking soda and half a teaspoon of salt, choosing your own make and model there. Following a short mix, we're going to throw in that chopped nuts mix, and it's time to add the marketing ingredient, the grand invention of the chocolate chip. We're mixing in 1 cup of semi-sweet chippies here. We mix that through until just combined so they don't get too tough. And here is our dough. I don't know about you, but that looks like vintage cookie dough to me, with a good color, firmness, and chippy distribution. Let's get these baking. I've prepped a standard cookie sheet with baking paper, and the oven I left on from roasting the nuts, I'd bumped it up to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, so a little warmer than average for cookies. And now we're using our standard medium cookie scoop to ball up the dough with good spacing between each on the tray. These are going into the oven for 11 minutes, plus or minus your oven's personality and sass. The recipe had said this would yield 50 cookies that were 2 inches across, which I thought was interesting, A, because we didn't get 25 4-inch cookies when we doubled the scoop size, and B, because were all cookies that tiny in the early 20th century? Okay, seeing these out of the oven, I think I know where my dough went. These bad boys have spread. They look tasty though. Look at that nice distribution of chippies and nuts, and they've got a nice structure. I do still recommend letting them cool for 20 minutes before eating though, to give them a chance to strengthen up and not fall to bits. Resist, people. I'm also adding these cookies to the Messy Hands Club. Melted chocolate everywhere. So we've done the bake, now it's time to rate. Will these beat out Yossi's cookies from our second video, which is still the leader to date? For appearance, we give a 3.5. They look appetizing, but a little pale and pockmarked, and they spread a lot. In terms of taste, they're a little too sweet, but have a solid, above average flavor, with otherwise a good balance, so it's a 3.5. In terms of texture, it's again a solid 3.5. They're a little crispy, have a nice mouthfeel. It's a dependable cookie. What more can I say? And in terms of ease, well, I'll put it this way. It was easy to do, but if you don't know what you're doing, there are so many ways you could probably mess this up since you have to interpret the little sentence they give you. So math time. This gives us 13.5, which I think jives. We have a good looking above average cookie here. and a recipe that was a trailblazer for its time, and that you could say has left a lasting impact on our society. You can find this recipe in many places online, wherever good searches are conducted, so please check out the story so far in my other videos. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and coming for my history lesson. And Monica, there was no nutmeg in these cookies! Have a great bake, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!